Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about FANG developers. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, developers without FANG experience on their resume are often viewed as tier 2 talent in the tech industry. What can a non-FANG developer do to demonstrate that they have skills equivalent to those of a FANG developer? Have the same tools on the CV, have years of experience. I feel very confident in that if you were to take every single developer who works for, we don't even have to take all the FANG companies, just pick one of them. You take all of them, and we all get, like, and not me included then, plus me, Frederick plus FANG, and we all take a coding challenge, like a project or something like basically whatever what we are all doing. I feel very confident in that I would not rank last on that. So am I a tier 2 developer now? If I beat one person, or just one, on in the FANG company, am I still a tier 2 developer then? So because I've never ever even heard the term tiers when dealing with any of the IT companies in my part of the world. Maybe this is a US thing, I don't know, because like I know for like I've had people from the FANG companies work for me, or been, and I have had coworkers who has been part of the FANG companies who incidentally seemed to find it very useful to talk to me and like really enjoyed working with me. And whenever we worked together, I never really felt that I had a hard time sort of following along in their train of thought and things like that. Like we just seemed to be very like we got along swimmingly. The specific coworker was a very, I would consider, he was as close as a friend as one could be. And sadly, he quit the company we were working for, which was not a FANG company, by the by. So why did he leave the FANG company that he was working for to go and work at a tier 2 company? Well, full jokes on us because he went back to the FANG companies afterwards, as far as I know. But that had, as far as I knew, also nothing to do with that he didn't enjoy working in the company that I was working for. But honestly, if you want to, the thing that I argue, guys, is that the reason why you have this notion, and I've said this in many of these, because I have so many of these types of questions, how do I get to be a FANG developer, or how can I be as cool as them? And I always tell you the same thing. The reason why you care about these things is because it's a brand. You believe that everybody in the FANG company is better. And as I said, if you just think about it logically, FANG companies hire junior software developers who come out of college. Now, I'm in no way claiming that there are not very good college students who are really good at software development. But I hope that we can all probably agree that there's a lot of software developers who may not work in a FANG company who's been working for many years who would probably be able to close a story card with less bugs and in a faster time than a fresh graduate student. I'm pretty sure, at least. So, as I said, like the fact that you are in a FANG company doesn't necessarily mean that you are like the creme de la creme, whatever. It's the same thing with brands. Like anybody, let people from the fashion industry correct me if I'm wrong here, but the quality of the materials and so forth when you make clothes is not necessarily the determining factor as to its pricing. The pricing is more complicated than that, because different brands have different value in the marketplace and they promote themselves and so forth and so forth. It's more complicated than, yeah, if you pay a lot more for something, you will get better quality. That would be very ideal, but that's not necessarily the case. Same thing here. The FANG company brand is what may give you like a sorting higher or more calls if you're going to go outside of a FANG company. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to produce. You're still going to have to do the job and so forth and so forth. And so what I suggest to you is, as I said, it doesn't really matter really if it's a FANG company or not. If you want to have the same level of popularity in the marketplace, well, If you don't have their brand, then surely other companies might have a brand worth having. I don't know, as I've said before, maybe the Linux Foundation, Mozilla, Opera. I can't even think about OpenAI. I wonder if is their brand worth something today, do you think? Don't know. I have brands on my CV as well, which may not be as prestigious as those in the IT space, but they are sure as hell very popular among all the companies who are non-super brand companies, because the recruiters recognize the brand. And once they've seen the brand, the second thing happens, and that is they look at years of experience and what skills I have. And that's what I've been telling you since the dawn of my little hobby channel here. All you really have to do, guys, is to learn a stack that is popular in the marketplace, and then try to the best of your abilities to get as good as possible at that stack if you're a junior software developer, and then try to be a little bit tactical about your job roles, because in different stages of your career it will be better for you to be in one environment versus another. I usually argue if you're in the earlier stages of your career, usually companies who are a little bit more stable, that teaches you the basics of how to do development and so forth, are very, very good. And those include probably, I'm not sure, but some of the FANG companies, depending on the team and so forth, or other corporations or mid-sized companies or so forth and so forth. Startups might be a little bit tougher for you, because in many cases startups can be a little bit more strapped for cash, which means that you have to work harder or like be able to produce faster. For senior level developers who might be interested in trying out something new and cool, that might be a very good fit, or it might not. Depends on the individual in question. But as I've said on other occasions, guys, the brands of the companies that you are working for, they mean something on the CV when the recruiter is reaching out to you, because they can see it's a recognized brand. And that brand, sure, maybe the top brand is one of the FANG companies. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It probably is one of the most important things, like one of the most outstanding brands to a recruiter. It is not the only thing that they look at. So if you get any brand on the CV or like so forth and so forth, even if it's a brand they don't know about, they're going to look at the next thing, which is years of experience. Because I can promise you, if I've never been in a company where we were hiring for a senior level software developer's position, and someone sent me a CV with a junior level software developer that was from Google or from Facebook, whatever, like, because it's irrelevant that they worked at that company if they don't have the skills to back it up. If you put two juniors next to each other, yeah, that might be relevant, but it's not like you get a free pass on competency just because you were part of a FANG company. So what I want you to take away from this is that the best way you can demonstrate skills equivalent to the FANG developers is to understand that the reason why people think about FANG developers as higher tier is because these are famous companies, brand companies. They absolutely might have a tougher recruitment process, etc., etc., but they are not doing magic over there, guys. There are plenty of IT companies, as I said, like that are non-FANG companies that also require a really high level of skill in order to work in them, and many of them are not necessarily as famous. But the brand does matter, just as it does in the fashion industry or any industry for that matter. So you should account for that. So if you want to have the same value in the marketplace, or be a I'm assuming tier 1 developer, well, for us normal tier 2s, the way we usually do it is that we learn the tools of the trade really, really well. We get a lot of years of experience, and if possible, we try to work for companies that are semi-known in the marketplace, because that usually gives us a slight leg up, especially if you're working for similar sorts of companies. If you work for one big corporation, another big corporation who recognizes that brand might say, yeah, that's a similar work environment that we have. If you work for a startup and wants to switch, it might be sometimes matters, sometimes it doesn't, because you're working at different levels. But that's up to each individual employer to determine. As I said, usually it doesn't matter all that much to the recruiters. They will just go cool brand, years of experience. Years of experience will outweigh cool brand every single day of the week. That much I can promise you. And when you try to apply for jobs and so forth, that brand might be a curiosity, or someone kind of goes, oh, we're a little bit excited, there's a FANG company developer who's applying to our tiny little company somewhere and somewhere. But I hope we can all agree that that's not going to matter much unless they can produce once they're on the job. So focus on those things, guys. And as I said, think of your CV as a little bit like a store window or something like that. Try to put some stuff that people might be in of different types of skill level, because not everybody who's reading your CV is going to be a developer. A lot of them are going to be recruiters. So if you have some cool little things that they may have heard about, or companies that you worked for that are like a little bit in like household names, that's very good for you. And that is, at the end of the day, the only difference between you and the FANG companies, assuming now that you've pushed yourself and really have the skills and all that stuff. Because the brand, I'll say it again, it's a brand, nothing else. The skill of the developers are in the FANG companies. They definitely have really, really good software developers, but not every single person in there is going to be so, like, it's not like they are at a completely different level, every single one of them. That much I can basically promise you, because I've worked with people from these companies, guys, who are still early on in their careers and so forth, and still have a lot to learn. And I promise you, if you just go to, like, take a few hours and go in and like actually do some work with one of the FANG developers that work there, I'm pretty sure you're going to notice the same thing that I've seen over the course of my career. A lot of companies do things in an extremely similar way. They might be different in terms of branding and like how popular they are, but the differences are not always as massive as you might think. Have a great day.